Awesome. Seema, how's it going?
Not bad. How's it going?
Good. I gotta see if I can record on my end too. I've just never done it when somebody else hosted.
No problem. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
That
Well, I'm
worked.
recording. Yeah, and I'm recording on my end too, so we can
That
just
worked.
continue with you. Yeah, with as the host. So
Cool. So got all the technical difficulties all sorted out. You wanted to do a candlelight meditation session, and I wasn't I wasn't able to get the setup for that to
well, I'm
but
sitting down, so maybe that will help. So pretty much,
maybe.
your body, your spinal cord is called the trunk, and you have to be sitting on the ground, and you have to have your trunk straight, and that's part of the meditation. But that's okay. We can discuss it, and we can always do another Zoom, and go full into it. I just wanted to just discuss a few things with you because your show is, well, the name of your YouTube channel is Solutions, right? And with all the things going on with today, life can be stressful. So I wanted to move away from the regular talks that we have and focus more on something that's positive, calming the mind, bringing good energy, vibrations, and techniques that I've used personally in my life, and I wanted to share that with you today. So
Yeah, I love it. It looks like you got a microphone.
yeah.
The one video you sent me from your channel was amazing,
Oh,
right? Because it's about how do you see yourself? Because you're seeing a projection of yourself in me. The universe is a mere projection, right? It was a short video and it was so beautiful. And I'm glad that you sent that to me. But study everything, and you send me some pretty incredible stuff when it comes to religion and spirituality and consciousness, right? So it was kind of a blessing in a way when you said, "Hey, I got booted off Facebook for something for censorship." I'm just like, let's do a talk. It's been a while. Let's catch
yeah.
up, right? So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like sometimes I a lot of people say, "Oh, you're on Facebook too much," but I don't know. I enjoy Facebook. I love getting information from Facebook. There's all these great posts with like-minded people. Sometimes I don't feel alone when I'm on Facebook because I can speak with people like yourself and like-minded communities and get so much information from Facebook. Like other than the censorship, I really enjoy being online and social media and all that stuff, right? So.
helps us to stay connected in a time that's so disconnected, I find
Oh yeah, 100%.
sometimes.
So pretty much, I wanted to give you a few things. So when it comes to meditation, there's something called Chin Mudra. Okay, so as you know, everything is law of attraction or opposite. So for example, good, evil, God, devil, whatever. So when you meditate, in the conspiracy world or what have you, the devil sign is a 666. I'm not doing it to be a bad person, but there's an opposite to that, and that's this. This is the Chin Mudra position. So pretty much, I'll explain to you really quickly what that means. So let's see here.
Like the meditating
Yeah,
monkey from The Lion King, right?
yeah, exactly. So that's the Chin Mudra that I use. So this is Chin Mudra. Chin means consciousness. And the purpose of this mudra is to remind the practitioner of the goal of yoga, the union of the individual soul with the supreme soul. So whether your supreme soul is God or what have you, this is a connector. And if I can share my screen here, or yeah, let's see here. So I have it up on my screen. So
Well, 666 is an interesting number, right? Because some people think it's the number of the devil, but it's also the number of carbon, right? The number of the carbon atom. I've heard that it's the number of the material man, right? Carbon life forms. So, because essentially we are our worst demons. The battle is internal. And many spiritual people do 666 a lot, right? So I think it's intention that is put behind it, right?
right.
For example, if the World Economic Forum is doing it versus if Trump is doing it, I think it has different meanings, right?
Yeah, but like when you look at most people, they get scared, spiritual, like Christians or Catholics or whatever, they see that sign and automatically they assume it's a devil sign, and it depends on the context. But if you
It's contextual.
yeah, but if
Yeah.
you flip it upside down, because like I said, God, light, good, evil. Even if you're a Christian and doing The yoga, you're not doing 666, you're doing the opposite. You're flipping the opposite and you're putting it downwards.
Because
So
everything has a
yeah,
reverse dual meaning with
exactly.
quantum, right? Just like you have the Jesus Christ cross, and then you have the upside down one, which some people say is a mockery to Jesus.
And it is. It is.
But
It's actually the sign of the devil in a sense.
well, it could be, but that got me curious. So I looked into it because I don't want to be ignorant. And then there's like 3 or 4 different meanings to it, right? But one of them was, remember when they crucified one of Jesus' disciples? It was on an upside down cross because he didn't feel worthy,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, right. I guess so. He didn't feel worthy. That makes sense. Or they
Yeah,
could have,
so it's
everything in the Bible is manipulated in a sense.
of
Because
course.
I do know, me personally, when there has been devil attacks, it starts with the cross being upside down, or you picture a burning cross. Like I've seen, and people have told me their experiences with this. So, but it's all the perception of what you believe in, right?
Yeah, because you're amplifying your beliefs into the spiritual astral planes, right?
Exactly.
100%. It's all frequency and intention.
For sure. So, are you able to see my screen here where it says Chin Mudra?
I can, yes, that's beautiful.
All right, so pretty much the Chin Mudra increases memory power and sharpens the brain, prevents insomnia, reduces joint pain, relieving stress and any unnecessary tension, and promotes better sleep patterns. And it also helps your body kind of get the signal to focus when you start your ohms. So what I'll do to you is I'll just quickly demonstrate what ohm is. So pretty much when the universe was being created, it made a universal sound ohm as all the frequencies and the things was building. So I'll do 3 ohms and I'll put my Chin Mudra here on my knees, and I'll just do 3 ohms for you. So this is the ohm frequency that we use when we meditate, and we put the Chin Mudra, and we start to try to connect with ourself and higher consciousness.
I love it.
You love it? That's cool. Yeah.
I love it. When I was speaking to Carrie Stone, I'm noticing more things about myself and other people, right? Especially specific verbiage in terminology. And curious why I was saying so much. And he said, well, that's an interesting one because it comes from ohm, right? It's the gap between when people are thinking. I'm noticing more things about myself and other people, right? Especially specific verbiage in terminology. And curious why I was saying so much. And he said, well, that's an interesting one because it comes from ohm, right? It's the gap between when people are thinking and processing. So ohm could be looked at as consciousness too, right? Thinking, creating, manifesting. So it's a very good, very spiritual meaning behind it. And you just added another chink to the
oh yeah. Yeah,
the chain, basically, right? Because
you're bang on with that for sure.
Mhm.
Definitely. Even when you're in the thought process, like you said, it's that time in between space, and it's hard to explain, but it's pretty cool.
Space time versus time space, all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
right?
all that fun stuff. If you really dive into it and get that spiritual divine knowledge type deal, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I wanted to also mention that our mind is always busy. It's like a monkey mind, and sometimes when that happens, we lose track and stress builds, and that's another factor for meditation. To just step away from all that outside noise, inside noise. The monkey mind always busy thinking. The Om gets you into that time phrase, that space, and the chin moved in a position and your trunk straight. And that's why meditation is a great thing for those who are new to meditation or never even heard about it, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I discovered monism,
Okay.
right? Were the belief that there's beauty in all religions. And I always find it interesting just learning about different religions and diving into spirituality now, because it just gives you a whole new perspective and respect for everyone that comes into your life,
Oh yeah,
right?
100%.
There's no division, just understanding and a mutual benefit of existing, cohabiting together, right?
Oh yeah,
That's hard to
100%.
do, right? Because the division is the goal, and we're always taught that you raised a certain way. So I love learning from you.
Same as you too.
Yeah.
That's why I love speaking with like-minded people yourself. I always tell you in our chats, like, oh, I love speaking with you because I learn from you a lot and you learn from me. And we just keep going to this higher, deeper, in-depth conversation about things that you wouldn't with a regular person, because it's always about, materialistic desires. And I've learned with speaking with people like yourself, you learn to put a ceiling on your desire. And when you have a ceiling like on all your desires, you're less stressed, because the mind is always like, I want this, I want money, I want a job, I want this girlfriend, I want this guy, I want this power. But when you step away from that reality, you don't get sucked in. So the truth is, be in the world, but not let the world be in you. And that's the same thing with all these COVID rep measures and people getting sucked into getting vaccines or what have you, because they're into this matrix of watching TV, of constantly thinking that they're in fear. And 99.9% psychological issues are the fear that they dump into your mind by watching all these things. And that's why it's nice to step away from all these things and meditate and speak to like-minded people like yourself, right?
Psychosis sometimes, right? Many different terms for it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's neurological and then there's psychological, and psychology is a passion of mine, right? And I love people that I can just speak about in-depth stuff, not surface level stuff. We live in a world that sugarcoating things and talking about surface level anecdotal topics is so normal that when people are direct with clear, precise communication, it comes across as hostile sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because people feel like they're being attacked when they're not. Maybe someone's just trying to understand your perspective.
Exactly.
Right?
Or maybe no one has ever thought about inner engineering, the inner engineering, not the outside world with all the drugs and all the stuff. Inner engineering, to get yourself at a different level of high and enjoy life on a different way. Like I said, divine knowledge, inner engineering, meditation, and contemplation. Who am I? Self-realization type deal, right? And connect yourself with the world, but not be in the world, but be a part of the world, but not get sucked into the Kardashians or whatever and get sidetracked to who you are. Who am I? You know what I mean?
My life's so much more peaceful now. I don't even watch the news anymore, so I don't know what's going on. So people ask me, have you heard about this? I'm like, no, actually I haven't. But I don't, it doesn't, there's some pretty horrific stuff happening. But if there's nothing that I can do, I don't want it to eat me up inside. I can only focus on so many things and what I'm good at, who I know, what I know, and bring my skill set to the table, just like you have a different skill set, just like somebody else is doing different. We all have different talents that we were born with, given, right? So I try to see things from a macro perspective now, but quantum at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
I can think 6 months out, couple years out, and I can see the progression and analyze the details, kind of sit back, be an observer, and see where the collective is going and what I can do, right?
Yeah, and sometimes you need to also discriminate between good and evil in a sense that what you have to be able consciously to be able to see what's coming in your mind and out and not let it get polluted with negativity. So for example, if I'm always around people who are swearing and scared, and I'll end up being scared and stuff. But if you're around positive people, you let that you get rid of that pollution, and you always have to be conscious of what enters inside your ears, as they say, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, in a sense. So you always have to have that filter on and discriminate. Okay, is this really good for me? Because I feel like I'm dumping pollution into my mind. So just like you clean your house and take out your garbage, you need to also dump what's out of your mind and refresh, reset, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I just want to know. So, are you able to see my screen too?
I can see it. Yeah, yeah, it came through. It came through.
All right. So, if I were to press play, I wanted you to just sit back and relax and like listen to this for 3 minutes. And this is a light meditation. So you picture a light. You don't have to have a candle in front of you, and there's also a visual for you too. But we'll be closing our eyes in this anyway. So I'm gonna press play, and we'll start this Jyoti meditation. All right.
That's good.
All right.
Let us sit up straight for Jyoti meditation. Hands relaxed in the lap, with right palm on top of left palm, and thumbs lightly touching. Take a deep breath and breathe slowly and evenly. Now, close your eyes and visualize the flame of a lighted candle in front of you, and see how beautiful it is with its warm golden color. Bring the flame nearer and nearer to you, and feel it enter you through the center of your forehead, between your eyebrows. Let the flame descend to your heart, and imagine your heart as a beautiful lotus flower, pure and white. As the flame enters the heart, imagine the petals of the lotus open out one by one, bathing every single thought, feeling, and emotion in the light, and so removing darkness from them. Your heart is now filled with light, with love and peace. Then think, I am full of love and I am pure. Imagine the light in your heart growing wider, bigger, brighter, and radiating its rays down your arms all the way to your hands, filling both hands with light. Your hands are now filled with light and have become the instruments of light and love. Then think, let me do good things and serve all. Now, visualize the light in your heart spreading down the body, slowly along the legs to the feet, and filling both feet with light. Your feet are now filled with light. And think, let me walk only to good places where there is love and peace. And let me meet only with good people. Let the light spread from the heart up to your throat, and surround the tongue and the mouth with light. Your mouth and tongue are now filled with light. Now think, let me speak softly and always tell the truth, and say only what is necessary and useful. Slowly, the light extends upward to the ears and fills both ears with light. Now think, let me hear only good things. Now, extend the light and let it spread to the eyes, filling both eyes with light. Again, concentrate on the light and think, let me see good in all things. Now, visualize the light entering your forehead and filling the head with light, purifying the mind. Your head is now filled with light. Now think, wherever there is light, darkness cannot be present, and I will only have good thoughts. Imagine the light in you glowing more and more intensely. Let the light shine all around you.
I have a hard time relaxing, right? Because my mind's always going like a freight train. But because I know the power of the mind now, I'm able to stop a thought if I realize it's toxic, right? You know how sometimes you have thoughts pop into your head and maybe
The mood,
it's just like
and it
it's
changes
just-
your mood too.
it
So you have to
will,
watch it.
of course, yeah. I was doing a thought experiment one day and I just wrote down all the different steps from thoughts to actions, right? Desire and willpower, but there are thoughts, so people don't realize their true power, that they can actually prevent things from manifesting if they realize that it's not beneficial to their consciousness, right?
100%.
And so you know, everything's got to be posted on Facebook, right? So we all have interesting friends, right? Some of us, a lot of us, are night owls, so we'll be up late at night. And it's always interesting what people post, especially about their own thoughts. And it's just like, if you don't think you can control your thoughts, well, that's because you constantly are talking about how you can't control them. So of course you're not going to be able to, because now you're telling yourself that, no, I don't have the power to change that, right?
100%. Exactly. And especially your desires. If you, that's desires is the biggest, I think, problem in life. The desire to have money, the desire to have this, and if you don't have it, people resort to negative things, whether it be
Yeah. It's interesting looking into the history and origins, etymology of God, and just remembering to breathe, that we
Yeah, always-
exist
yeah.
along with even down to the tiniest microorganisms, trees, plants, earth, everything in the universe. We are all connected.
100%.
Quantumly, everything is connected because all energy is a part of the collective, right? Everything flows. It's like a ripple effect, right? You throw a tiny stone in the pond.
Or or you know how you have Christmas lights, you have various bulbs, but the same current is running through all those bulbs. So we are all that current is running through all of us that lights us up, right? So
I wanted to ask you,
yeah,
real quick though. A friend of mine said, "What causes thought?" And I said, willpower. He says, no, willpower is what creates and orders your thoughts once they occur, right? But he says, what causes them? And I said, well, desire. Because desire is what you want in a way, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's different levels of desire. So what do you think causes thoughts? Because if everything is already known, because nothing is hidden, even in occult, everything is known. You have to seek for it. How are thoughts created? What do you think on that?
The mind, it's the mind. It's always going. It's no matter what
But
you do.
what creates it? What creates those thought waveforms?
Well, if you look at your heart and your soul, there's three aspects to your body. There's your physical body, then the higher plane of consciousness, and then your mind. So I know it sounds like a simple answer, but your mind is just something that's trying to process all things at once. And then when we stick to the mind too much, that's what causes all these thoughts and leading to what you said, desires. But the mind is just this complex thing that is always going and going and going and going. And even if you're not thinking, there is a time where there's a part in space where you disconnect and not think, and then you're with consciousness. Like when you were doing the meditation, did you think about all these thoughts, or were you focused on the light?
I was focused, breathing and relaxing.
So yeah, so this is self-realization of beyond the mind, beyond the body. I am not the body, I am not the mind. But when we're not in that frame, I am not the body, I'm not the mind, we're always the mind. So the mind is always thinking and then leads to desires, like you said.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense. But when
it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because I learned recently the brain is different than the mind, right?
Yeah, the brain is the body.
Yeah, because the mind can be...
It's an aspect that pulls off of the soul. The mind is like, it's hard.
And the spirit guides the consciousness.
Yes.
Through what the soul is ready to hear, right?
The mind is a set of faculties responsible for mental phenomena. I wonder what is the mind in self-existence of human beings, distinct from ego. Ego too is another thing. Ego, desire. Mind, ego.
Ego is part of the mind, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's your ego. That's a big one too. Not your, I'm saying in general. Our ego is a big hurdle in our life that causes a lot of problems for the mind. That's another thing. That's why we need to control our ego and our mind, and the thoughts that come in and out. It's really, really deep. If you really look into it, it's a very complex thing, the mind. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's the main cause for a lot of sorrows and happiness at the same time, right?
It does. A lot of joy, sorrows, and happiness, right? I came across a website last night, and it was about communicating effectively. All about psychology. In how other people perceive and interpret what we say and do is more important than our intentions, right? Communication is so important. Just using the wrong words, someone can get the wrong impression. But if we don't talk about those, we're not mind readers. Well, some people are, but most aren't, right?
Right.
So this is why it's the number one issue in relationships is what? Some say money. I would say communication.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's like, why didn't you do the dishes? You didn't tell me to. Do I have to tell you? And that's like the dishes need to be done, but the other person's like, well, why didn't you tell me? You know what I mean? It's like, that's all because of communication. But what if they did tell you do the dishes and you didn't? Then it's your fault. So, but you still have to communicate. Can you go do the dishes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like in Buddhism, right? Attachment can be a form of suffering, but then you also have the spiritual aspect of it and the sovereign free will aspect of it. So it's just like there's that balancing of the pendulum, right? Because you don't want to be too selfish, but at the same time, you don't want to always be in service of others, because then you're not balanced and you're living for other people. And then if you have a family versus if you're single, and it's just life is interesting.
So the answer is have no attachments.
Try to figure out.
Seriously,
try to figure out who we are, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what Buddha did. He was a rich prince and he denounced all attachments, his kingdom and everything, and he left everything to go in the forest and meditate. So, and by getting rid of all of his attachments, like in the daily life, I can't get rid of my kid or anything. But back then, he denounced all his attachments, and that's how he did the inner science of working on himself. But that's a great point that you bring up. Attachment, desire, greed, ego. These are the biggest hurdles of the mind that messes up everything in our life, to be honest with you.
There's a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, and he said this quote, and it really made me think. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. He was telling me about Buddha and how Buddha was, it was not his intention to be idolized, worshipped, or turned into a statue. Right? Just like Jesus, he wanted people to see their own value. And then another friend said that Buddha, his life was too perfect, so he wanted to feel pain. But the quote was, perhaps mandatory altruism, living for others, saving the world, is as perverse an attachment as selfishness itself. Now that's deep. It really gets you thinking, eh? Because you have
100%.
selfishness and then living for others. Are they both attachments? Well, maybe.
Yeah, they are, to me,
Right?
in a sense, because if you take away yourself from it and think of helping someone as a duty as opposed to an attachment, like I can be like, oh, I want my son to be great, or I can be like, okay, I'm gonna get him ready, help him go to school, and if that's my duty, but I unattach myself from being stressed out, like, oh my god, I hope he passes his test. No, my duty was to help him study and unattach myself from the results. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So that's
Makes
how
perfect
you,
sense.
that's how you can, kind of tackle those kind of things in a sense and still unattach yourself, but think of it as duty. So help people, but do your duty to help them, but don't get attached to the consequences. So if you help them, they were helped out, great. If they weren't helped, great. You know what I
Well,
mean?
exactly, because that's the number one thing, right? We can't control the actions of other people.
100%. But at
Free
least you did
will.
you did your duty. If your job is to be a cop and stop the robber, if he ran away, be unattached, and if you caught him, be unattached. Enjoy and pain, keep the same level-headed mind. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Live in the moment. Friend of mine, he always responds with a period. So it looks like the message didn't go through, but I think that's about monism. Are you familiar with the term? Monism?
Monism, no.
Okay. It's beyond duality, just oneness, a sense of interconnectedness, similar to what the Matrix is. The Matrix is about the connection of all things.
Okay.
Right? So oneness. So he replies with a period because that's the symbology of monism.
Okay.
Instead of duality, just flow, right? Which is beautiful.
Yeah, that is.
Because I never heard that term before, and then was having a spiritual conversation one time, and someone said to me, well, when you go up into these higher dimensions, there's no duality anymore. Just like photons, I've heard, don't is it photons? They don't experience time, they just exist. Right? So I guess in a way that's where consciousness and awareness factor in, because think of everything out there, right? Do trees ask why they exist? Do photons, do particles, do tachyons? Or is it just humans, right?
Humans have
We're
a
the-
mind. Yeah.
Yeah, we're asking why we exist,
But trees don't have a mind.
but they're conscious, are they not?
They're conscious, but they don't have a mind in a sense. So, for example, even a broccoli is a living organism, but it doesn't have a mind like a human does.
Mhm.
And that's why I said the mind is the greatest amazing thing and the most downfall of being a human, because we know for a fact a human has a mind, an animal has a mind also, but a tree or a plant, it may have a soul, but when it comes to a mind, it doesn't have a mind, so it's not affected as bad as a human.
Mhm. It just exists. Because I asked someone, what's more peaceful than a tree? I don't know. Is there anything that is more peaceful than a tree?
Not that I know of. A tree seems pretty peaceful if you ask me.
Right? because
Yeah.
a tree just dances in the wind and cleans the air and lets you know when the seasons are changing. Grass, right? Imagine being grass, getting cut up, getting stepped on, right?
Yeah,
But
that
trees, they just
getting hooed
exist.
on by dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That
Yeah.
nature's ass wipe. Yeah, it's all fascinating.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it's great things, and you know, we have all these scientists and you know, people like Elon Musk and Amazon. They go travel the outside world, but nobody ever takes the time to go beyond the to travel inside and see what's inside of you and dissect within us. But you know, everyone's grasping to go to space and stuff when they don't even know themselves. They don't know what mankind is, what we are. And I think what we need to be as a human is to realize how we can grow our compassion and grow in a better loving way with the light meditation. Like I said, it's all about truth, love, peace, non-violence, and try to inner work that engineering in that sense and grow like a petal as opposed to always chasing, you know, outside factors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes back to
Inner engineering.
knowing thyself,
Who am
because
I?
everyone has to go through the stages, right? Everyone's got to go through the stages. They should make an entire movie with just Yoda in it, right? Because Yoda was a very wise swamp creature. My number one favorite quote from him is, "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering." And Buddha says that suffering is a form of attachment,
Yes.
right? The laws of detachment. So you can notice, especially when it comes to human behavior, right? Because if you see things in other people that you've gone through, and it almost gives you more compassion, you can see, you can understand,
And always
right?
see the and always try to see the good in everybody, right? I always try to see
Yes.
the good in, like, I always try to see the good. But sometimes if you have too much attachment, if you feel sorry for someone, they can suck you in and bring you down to that negativity. So that's why you always have to be conscious and filter, and think of it as, okay, I'll do my duty to help them the best I can, but I will not I will not connect myself to the results of it.
Just like Keanu Reeves, right? He's careful with who he gives his energy to, because not everyone deserves yours.
Mhm.
So he won't let just anybody into his personal bubble
It's true.
because of the level of empathy, which I've learned recently is connected to your blood type, your level of empathy.
Your blood type.
Blood type. Yep.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what type of blood type? If you're like O or E or whatever, A, I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, always in the middle, always directly in the middle.
So what is, do you know what that aspect is if you're O?
There is a really good website that a friend of mine, actually, he dives into this, and he dives into the alien species, human history, and everything is in the tree of life, right? So the Da Vinci Code, the Vatican, the Kundalini, the chakra system, all of that, all those energy centers tie into your blood type as well, and tie into your levels of empathy
Oh
and,
my
and the
god, it's
type of
funny you say
food.
that.
Mhm.
And your DNA. I don't know, like going on to the whole vaccine thing. You're a royalty, you know that, and your DNA is from God. And it's just funny when I'm reading about why there's some people who don't want this vaccine or whatever, going to that kind of stuff. It's because they're trying to manipulate your DNA, and it's just so funny that you mentioned blood type now and the tree of life. You know what I mean? Because your DNA and your blood type is connected in the sense of your roots of who you are, and you are royalty from God in a sense.
Yeah, well, I was doing a thought experiment like this last night when I couldn't sleep. We are all kings and queens. We are. right? There's no one individual that gets to reign over us if we all are given free will. The most basic, universal, natural law of the cosmos is free will. That can't be taken away from. Even the highest at the highest political levels and jurisdictions of government, they still operate within universal spiritual laws because they know free will. They know spiritual laws. Everything is based around spiritual laws, right?
Exactly. And you have to also, and that's why they try to suck you out with all these TV propagandas and bombardments of all the negativity in the world, because they want you to forget and disconnect yourself and dumb you down. Like we always talk about things that dumb you down in one of our conversations. And that's what all these medias are doing. And they know that your blood is royalty and you're very powerful. There's something in you that is amazing, that is God consciousness, and they don't want you to know your own power. And it's so cool that you also mention blood type, because that's part of your entity. And going back to the Keanu Reeves thing, is it makes sense why you have to not let certain people in your life and filter around you the energy that comes in and out, because it's always like there's a quote from the Bible: beware of the devil, he's like a lion or something trying to, you know what quote I'm talking about?
I've never.
It's like a beware of the devil. He's always like a roaring lion trying to take.
I don't think I've heard. There's so many different versions. But I've never heard the comparison of the devil to a lion before.
Yeah, it's just that, well, lion is a good thing, but this particular thing is like the enemy is like a devil always trying to fly like a lion to pounce on you or something like that. I can't remember it. But the lion is a very good thing too. We are all kings and queens and part of the lion thing. But that quote there is just pretty much, you always be careful, protect your realm, protect your aura, protect what's within you, because there is a negative dark space, like a that wants to suck you in. You know, the dark side of the space where there's
yeah. I have a philosopher friend who studies quantum physics also, and he finds it. He finds it hilarious that they're trying to find dark matter and dark energy because it doesn't give off any radiation into the electromagnetic spectrum. So they won't be able to find it because of what they're calling it. But I understand what you mean, right? Because they can physically prove that the heart, through the electrocardiogram, it gives off a biofeedback, right? And that is partly what makes up your torus energy field, right? Your brain gives off its own energy, your heart gives off energy as well. So anytime we're within around 6 feet or less proximity to each other, we're actually, our energies are exchanging. They're connecting, right? And that's what makes up our feeling. So everything that we put into our body, our food, right?
Yeah, and there's always like I said, the law of nature, there's always you can have sun, but then you have a shadow. You know what I mean? There is a darkness. So there's light and there's dark. So there is, in a time of space, there is a vacuum, a suck hole that I do believe exists. I don't know how to explain it, but I do believe that there is, from the light, there's a shadow of reflecting off the light, which is that deep space and whole in the universe, or there's that darkness that's always that reflects off of our light, that sucks us in. So that's why you need to always focus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The way that it was explained to me a little while ago is that our chakras are like energy centers, right? Vortex. They're, in a way, they're like a nuclear reactor because they're pulling in information, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful with who we allow into our space.
Yeah, and it goes back to the simple ABCs: avoid bad company, Like when I was younger, I used to be into myself. I used to work out and I was always happy. Then I hung out with friends who were always drinking and smoking weed. And then even though I told myself I'll never drink or smoke weed, then I started hanging out with them and I was always around them. Then I started drinking, then I started smoking weed, and then I stopped working out. And I just completely turned into what they were as opposed to what I was. So that's because I was always around that. And it's kind of like this. Like, let's say, for example, I want to take a picture of you, okay? Even though the picture of you is on you and I have a flash on it, although the flash is going to you, the reflection of the flash reflects on my face. So therefore, even though I'm clicking you, you're the picture, the reflection reflects on me, and then I get influenced by your negativity. So that's why you definitely got to watch out who you hang out with and what you do, because they can even subconsciously attract you and affect you in negative ways that you didn't even realize they could.
Yeah.
And you slowly start changing.
Can you still see me?
Yes, I can.
Because
Yeah.
my screen just went black, so I can't see anything right now.
See here. Yeah, I can still see you. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
can't see anything. Oh, here we go. That's better. That was the strangest thing. Okay, I'm been having.
Oh,
the
you're going back.
weird-
You're going back to your audio cringe.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're better now.
I guess we can wrap it up here then.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
perfect.
Well, it's great talking with you, and I'll follow up with you later on Facebook. It was awesome doing the Zoom with you, and I hope to post it too. I'm working on myself, like you had said earlier, with trying to make content, and I'm really proud of you too. Your content's really good. I've been watching it, and it motivates me too. So I really enjoy what you're doing. So keep doing what you're doing, right?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing too, eh?
All right. All right. Cheers.
Sounds good. Talk to
Bye.
you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.